And I hear some numbers there that you mentioned, but Dave Letele also called out you for incorrectly stating how much the government had given to the food bank. And to be clear, he says he's received $87,500 a year, half of what you stated. Surely this is a service that needs more funding. Do you think New Zealand is in better shape, worse off, or the same compared to before the election? And I want you to be honest.
But I do feel that things are improving, and I do think there are encouraging signs of some good progress.
Yeah, Prime Minister, sounds like a lot of hard work that your coalition government is putting in, but the rewards don't seem to be shown on this poll, based on this poll, with 25% you as preferred Prime Minister. Why do you think that is?
Oh, look, I just want to acknowledge it has been a tough time and we've had to make some tough choices, and obviously voters will make their decision around that in 2026, and I'm confident by then they'll see that our plan is working.
Speaking of not being popular, you're not popular with Dave Letele, community leader for the South Auckland Food Bank. Now, he announced last week that he was closing his food bank due to a lack of funding. He appeared on our show. Take a listen to this, Prime Minister.
Right now, there's going to be kids waking up with no food. You know, that's the facts of this. There's going to be kids going into Christmas with no food, never mind presents, they're not going to have any food. You know, and groups like us find it so hard to just get basic support so we can continue. You know, we've got to help the bottom. When we help the bottom, everyone else does well. You know, their top-down approach does not work. You know, and they've just got to come into their community and see what's happening. It's so easy to get them in here before an election. Doesn't matter what political party. It's so easy to get them all in here. They're all in here. You know, so hard after.
Dave Letele there, saying children will go without Christmas. What's your response to that?
Yeah. Well, look, the first thing I'd say is Dave and his organisation, you know, BBM, do an amazing job. They're an incredible organisation, he's a good man. And what I'd just say here is, you know, with respect to funding of food banks, that is something that historically the government hasn't supported up until 2020. And during the COVID pandemic, with food security challenges, that's what the government did do. It did actually support food banks. But since 2020, every government, the previous one and our one, has continued to taper down the support directly to food banks. And the reason is, you know, why are we doing that? The first thing is that we make available where there is people who need food and are in need. We've got hardship grants through MSD and to the tune of $120 million just in the last year that we've spent doing exactly that. And if anyone needs those, you know, they should make themselves available to MSD to do that. But the second thing is that we are supporting the New Zealand Food Network, which is the infrastructure behind a lot of the food hubs and the food banks, actually distributing and getting the food out into the region. So, you know, that's our focus. That's where the government can make the biggest difference. And, you know, as I said, it hasn't been historically a position that we support private food banks in communities, but we actually do everything we can to make sure we get the money directly to people who need it and have food needs.
But it's that classic barrier at the top of the cliff or ambulance at the bottom. So why aren't you building barriers at the top?
Well, we are. We're working very hard with respect to social investment. We're working very hard to make sure that we fix the fundamentals of this economy.
And I hear some numbers there that you mentioned, but Dave Letele also called out you for incorrectly stating how much the government had given to the food bank. And to be clear, he says he's received $87,500 a year, half of what you stated. Surely this is a service that needs more funding.
Well, the advice I've given is he receives $175,000 a year. It's done in two payments in the financial year. He's had the first half of that payment, and the second payment is due in March before the financial year end. So that's how, as I understand it, and I've been advised that that is the annual amount that is given to BBM, which is obviously one of our larger providers across the country.
Just got a couple more minutes with you, Prime Minister. Just in terms of Manawa Nui, can I just throw that in quickly? How much will it cost to clean up? Do you have a figure on that yet?
We don't.
Prime Minister, do you intend to apologise to Samoan government, and will you look at paying the government any reparations?
Yeah, I conveyed very much that we are sorry for what is an incredibly unfortunate accident, and we're collectively working together incredibly well, you know, working with Samoa to make sure that we do everything we can right now to focus on mitigating that environmental impact.